Alright guys, today we're going to be reacting to part 3 from this series from the Prefab homes in Germany. That video, the video that we just uploaded yesterday, some of you guys have very interesting opinion regarding the deforestation of Germany. That's a point I didn't know. Thank you so much for some of your comments. Again, I was going to say, make sure you like and subscribe, and that way you guys are ready for my uploads. And also for donations, you can also click the little symbol, money symbol, for super chat. Basically, I will really appreciate it. Meantime, guys, let's jump in and see what's going on.
Measuring instrument.
Moisture in the wood, the electricity is conducted from one sensor to the next. The computer needs this data to control the drying process and to determine when the wood is dry enough to be used in some of our prefab houses.
Oh, they're still wet.
If the wood were used while still moist, it would gradually warp, form cracks, and may even become infested with insects.
Really?
Rainer Henninger now brings along a second measuring instrument.
Using this, we determine the humidity in the air. When the air reaches its maximum saturation level due to the water coming out of the wood, it's detected by this device. The flaps on the kiln roof are opened, the saturated air is released, and fresh air flows in from the back.
This process is repeated until the timber only has a moisture level of 13%. That takes up to 2 weeks. Let's look back. The Bissingers have already put their dream house together on the computer. This is what it should look like. 2 floors with a hip roof.
Man, that looks nice.
They had already drawn up the floor plan themselves, and then the architect from the prefab company took over.
We worked on the floor plans with him and put the layout together just the way we have it now. And then he gave us a 3-dimensional picture of what it could look like when it's finished. There will be a few color changes, because that color scheme's not really our style.
That doesn't look good. In the middle? Nah.
The building plot is 8 kilometers away in Sigmaringendorf, right next door to Klaus Bissinger's parents' house.
My grandfather's old work shed used to be here. We knocked that down, and the walls you see there are still the old interior walls, but we've left them standing as retaining walls for the slope.
One benefit of wooden prefab houses is that you can put them up in winter as well. The floor slab is already finished, and all the connections are in place.
We wanted to build a cellar here, but the problem is there's a huge rock underneath the ground here, and we would have had to remove that, either by blasting or chiseling it out. The high costs meant that we couldn't do that, so we went back to the idea of a floor slab.
This measures 8.5 by 12.5 meters. However, at the moment, the bare slab doesn't look that big to the clients.
Like this, it looks very small, but perhaps later, with a house?
Well, at first I thought it'll do for a big living room, perhaps with a dining room as well, but for an entire house, it does look a bit small.
Back at the prefab
They already have their
company,
opinions, though. That's the
wood
thing.
for
Like,
Bissinger's home
when you have a picture of something, it's so important to just get as close as possible. If you don't like it, man, you're gonna regret that decision. So they're in the right track, though.
is now dry and is taken for refinement to the so-called glue lamination hall.
Wow,
It's
look at that.
enormous, 16,000 square meters, the size of 2 soccer fields.
Okay.
Here too, the first job is sorting. Boards that have warped during drying are not suitable for constructing prefab house elements. They don't make the cut, so to speak. The good quality boards are then planed on all 4 sides and passed onto the X-ray machine, which detects knots in the wood. As they represent weak points that could cause the wood to break, they are cut out by a special computer-controlled miter saw. The different sized boards are now joined together into uniform 26-meter lengths in the so-called finger jointing process. A milling machine cuts interlocking tapered profiles, the so-called fingers, into both board ends. Glue is applied to one end and hardener to the other fully automatically. The machine then presses the 2 ends together for 2 seconds.
That's crazy, huh?
After an hour, the bonded section has hardened, and after 24 hours, it's weatherproof.
Wow.
The next machine processes the finger-jointed boards into so-called glulam beams. Glue and hardener are applied once more to the first board. Every second board remains dry.
Uh-huh.
A conveyor now stacks the boards up in a pressure chamber, where several duo beams are produced simultaneously.
You know what's
consisting
crazy?
of 2 boards.
Some reason when I see these type of documentaries, I start appreciating things more. Look at that process of the procedure just for a piece of wood. Huh. Interesting. Wow.
Always one board without glue on top of one board with glue.
Quick glue.
Once the chamber is full, the clamps at the top close. Steel blocks on hydraulic rams rise up and press the boards together at a pressure of 1 Newton per square millimeter of wood. This process takes an hour. Then the finished duo beams leave the press. They are the basic material for timber frame prefabricated homes. Before being cut to size and milled for each individual house, they're put through a planing machine. In the design department, the staff is now planning the Bisinga's home down to the smallest detail. This is done with the aid of CAD, which stands for Computer Aided Design.
Once the design is completed, we display a so-called data set. At the control station, we can then feed this directly into the machine so the drilling and milling is carried out automatically in the exact places we have specified in the design.
The computer-controlled production starts.
I mean, the system is on. Making a house in Germany means that your house is going to be well protected or well built.
With the wood refinement process. Here, the glulam beams are cut to size according to the plans for each individual house. Every single component is given a number, allowing it to be assigned to a wall, ceiling, or roof element of each particular prefab home.
It's a lot of wood, man. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot of wood. A lot.
The house elements are produced on the
But again,
so-called
the guy
wall
said
assembly.
when he was cutting the wood that when they cut the wood, they make sure that they're not cutting a lot of wood from one place. That way, they can just give some time to regrow. So,
line and in the roof production section. In these gigantic halls, around 100 employees work in 2 shifts. As deputy production manager, Anton Würz's job is to make sure that the house elements are manufactured on time. This begins about 8 to 10 days before the prefab home's delivery date. So it's just-in-time production. The first production stage is a semi-automatic machine making the wooden frames for the walls.
The next step is displayed automatically here on the screen so that the machine operator knows which step comes next.
This machine places wooden frame sections between the beams, moves them into the correct position, and then nails them automatically into place.
wow.
Some are positioned by hand. They have assembly holes which other house walls will be docked into later. Once a wall is finished, it goes to the next processing station along with the plans. There, a plastic foil is drawn across the internal side of the outer wall. The rolling machine automatically staples it down immediately. The foil serves as a vapor barrier to prevent inside moisture from penetrating the house walls. The foil over the window openings is cut out by hand.
You know what's crazy? Maybe that's why a lot of houses in the United States, they fall apart. They're not made like. I don't think they're made like this. This is solid. This is very solid.
Pre-milled chipboard. In technical terms, the interior cladding is now placed over the foil. A worker aligns them by hand, and a machine staples them to the wood. Based on the CAD data, it knows exactly where to shoot the staples into the beams. A layer of plasterboard is now attached to the interior cladding. This is to provide the base for wallpaper or tiling. At the same time, the machine cuts holes in the wall for power sockets and switches, in the exact positions specified by the designers.
The designer don't play around.
A so-called butterfly table now turns the wall over so that the exterior side is facing upwards.
Wow. Look at the machinery. Wow. That's insane.
Electricians now install the sockets for the light switches, thermostats, roller shutter switches, and power points. The wiring is also fitted into the wall.
So it's already okay. So
For
different
heat
from
and
the
sound
first one,
insulation-
right? So the first, remember the first videos that we reacted about houses. This process is a little bit different. This process, some of these folks, they take some of those work already beforehand with the cables and everything.
The workers now lay mats of mineral wool in between the frame supports. An airtight membrane, known as a synergy foil, is now laid on top of the insulation. This allows moisture to pass from the inside to the outside, but not the other way around. Cement bonded particle boards are now put in place and nailed down. They are completely waterproof.
Wow.
At the top and bottom ends of the wall
I'm
and
telling
around
you,
the
folks.
windows, aluminum edge trim is attached as edging for the polystyrene sheets that will carry the exterior plastering. One employee sprays the adhesive onto the cement bonded
Look at
particle
that.
boards, while two others
They're
lay
making sure that you don't come back because they have so much confidence about the product. This is how they do it.
the polystyrene
Make sure that
sheets
you
on
have a
top.
nice
A
product.
50-kilo roller makes sure they stick together
insane.
permanently. And then, just for good measure,
You
they're
roll it.
stapled down as well.
Wow.
The wall is then raised up into a vertical position to enable the windows and the patio doors to be installed.
Here you can see the windows, just as we get them from our supplier. In other words, the roller shutter is mounted on the top, the lateral guide rails are already fitted. What we now have to do is to fit a sealing tape inside. After 5 minutes, this will expand and guarantee that the connection between the wood and the window is airtight.
With the help
There we go, folks. That's insane, man. These people really go in, man. These people really go in, man. This is insane. Like, there's something about the machinery. They're very proud. But I would like to. Again, this is from my perspective. I don't know if this is something that you guys do very often, or you guys are just doing this. Or I don't know how to say. Like, maybe it's just a video that appears that is, is so good. But maybe the customer service, the process kind of bad. I don't know. You guys have to tell me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I would like to know if this is how you guys make houses in Germany, beside the other style. Because this is very serious. This is, wow, this is over the top, right? I would like to hear you guys' opinion. I will see you in the next one.